proceed to guest comments, I'd like to have someone make a move to add one thing to the agenda, and that is to revise the 15-16 budget.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And can you tell us why?
You'll hear as we discuss it.
Okay.
Any guests tonight?
You get the comments you're saying?
No, just guests first. Okay, citizens' comments. Citizens' comments, limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address as you start.
My name is Roger.
Is that turned on?
Push the button down, hold the button down for a second. The red button. You got it?
That's
There you go.
Thank you. My name is Roger Mueller, 7890 North 32nd Street, Richland. My question is directed to Terry Eds. The village has just settled with Jackie Wanda, the village clerk. I want to know where the money's coming from to settle that case. By my arithmetic, it's going to cost approximately cost us $69,000. $40,000 for the settlement, the attorney fees of $17,300 approximate, and that's from November of last year, not anything earlier. And then the cost of paying Michael Scott, the temporary. So where has the board, how has the board directed you to pay for that? Second question is, do we have enough money to fund the village government based on these costs through the rest of the year? And how is this reflected in our current budget? Where's that coming from? And then last of all, the board needs to make an apology to Jackie Wanda and to the village, a written apology for what has happened. It's been a big disgrace to our village. Thank you.
okay, but before you respond, well, we should respond.
I don't think they can hear it.
Okay. Next citizens' comments, please.
Well, is he going to respond?
Yeah, now.
He's going to respond to my questions now or later?
Mr. Eds, I wish you wouldn't until we know for a fact that the settlement has been signed. Do we know
It's
that?
still not completely signed, it's still in litigation to a certain extent.
Well, can you still answer those questions? Do we have enough money on a,
That's up
I don't want that to be my
question.
question.
We'll have that opportunity in your comments.
You can't do that.
John, it's hard to understand you.
Yeah, you've got to speak in the microphone.
What John had said is that Virginia's comments and any other citizens' comments should be reserved for their own individual 3-minute time slot, not speaking out of turn generally.
Okay, then respond to my questions. 3 minutes is still
We
going.
can't at this particular time because the settlement isn't 100% complete.
Does
When the
that-
settlement is 100% completed and all the...
We can't hear.
When the settlement is fully completed at that given time, then we can answer those questions.
Does that mean when the check clears the bank? Because in my understanding, the check would be cut today.
What is your source of information?
My own dreams. Can someone answer something?
I think I've answered as clearly as I can, but it's still being pending. We can't answer the questions. We will answer your questions once the case is completely settled.
Okay, and that's the case part, and then he had many other questions.
That is all related to the case.
Not necessarily.
When you're asking where funds are going to come from, that's related to the case.
Did he ask if the village was solvent?
Would we please please keep this to your comments, and you're welcome to speak at, Doug's up at the mic now, you're welcome to speak after Doug.
Doug Penny, I guess, for this meeting here about the budget, I appreciate you inviting us to that. And hopefully the meeting's not about us rubber stamp, you guys already decided the budget. You just were to make a motion to approve it without any discussion. As citizens, we should be invited to part of the workshop, the budget process, so we can see what's going on. Also, before we get here, now we have the budget tonight to look at, say, you know, we're gonna rubber stamp this through, we should all see it before. And if it's basically democracy, you wanna hear from the citizens. If it's basically a small group of people that want to stamp it through for everybody else, that's fascism. So I did look up definition, you might all do the same thing, part of that, because a small group of people dictating to everybody is fascism. And so I look through the budget, I see the budget, we got insurance of $27,000. I believe that should be broken down to workman's comp, vehicles, buildings, and liability, which I think is called EMC, as far as that. Those should be broken down by dollar amount into departments. When I say departments, I'm referring to like public safety, public works, and community relations, and general admin government stuff. That should be broken out there, because like vehicles should be in the proper departments all the way through there, so we can see that. Same for workman's comp. In public safety, the salary should be broken out. We can break out the police clerk, we should break out the salaries too, such as the police chief, and full-time officers and part-time officers, and I don't know if reserves would get paid or not, so we have reserves, where's their salary going, whatever, so it should be broken out somewhere so we can all see that. And I think the section on DPW should be cleaned up a little bit, so anything for DPW should involve the DPW employees or their equipment. When I see flower buying and reindeer, those should be moved out of DPW and put in the community relations department. And barricades, which I assume for parades, should also be on community relations. Same thing with RABA, because RABA is not really DPW at all, that's community relations. Newsletter and the website should go out of there into probably general admin for government stuff. Same thing with household hazardous waste, it doesn't belong to DPW, it should be in general admin somewhere there. So I think that entire section of DPW should be looked at line by line. And then that tree section should be moved over to community relations also. We don't need a separate section for that. It should be dumped into basically a Department of Community Relations. And planning and zoning should also be an admin general government. And I guess I have a follow-up question on that. Do we still need salaries in that area? I know the board, and I appreciate cutting their salaries down to $1 per meeting. Do we need salaries for the planning and zoning still? I mean, because they're also basically appointed, or they volunteer their time, they're not elected in there, so do we need to have them get a salary too? So that's maybe some place we can save some money there. And the $18,000 for the fire department makes good sense, but it probably should out of public safety into the general government where it belongs there. And streetlights should also go into community relations or general government.
They're not gonna answer any questions.
So they won't have to think question, they
So my point is about this, appointed clerk and treasurer.
You have to ginger. Introduce yourself.
7890 North 32nd, Virginia, Muir. My point is about the appointed clerk and treasurer position, because they are going to be ending in November. You have a line on your budget indicating temp line. You're allowing $2,000 for treasurer. Now seriously, for a 4-month position, you have allowed $2,000. What about the clerk medical insurance? This clerk does not get medical insurance, I was told. So you're going to have more expense. What about training for these people? There's nowhere in your budget for training of a clerk or a treasurer. Now, if it so happens that I end up on this board, you're really complicating other people's lives.
I'm Jody Perks on 9213 Bunker Hill. Just want to address the village legal fees. 2015 to 16 budget was $11,500. We'd already double spent our budget at $26,375. This year we've budgeted the same thing. If we keep going like we are going now, we'll have overspent it before we even get started. So, that's a question there. Our attorney charges $160 per hour to attend just the council meetings. A lot of township meetings, only have an attorney present if there's a pertinent issue where an attorney needs to be present. So that would be some savings if we didn't have to have an attorney present. For the months of November, December, and January, we paid our lawyer a total of $7,041. For 3 months, that would be approximately half of our legal budget and half of what the Richland Township budget has budgeted for a year. $7,041 paid to our attorney in 3 months includes the following breakdown: $2,480 for discussions with Attorney Straub, who's the village attorney, village insurance. $1,320 to discuss relocation of the police department. $440 to discuss with Gail Kokritz, Robert's rules and various emails. Every time that there's a discussion with the attorney, obviously, that gets in, so who's monitoring how many of those discussions we have. $280 to discuss a tree ordinance. That's a lot for, you guys could probably come up with the ordinance without the attorney, really. $200 to discuss issues with Dave. Yes. The remaining $23.21 out of the $7,041 for 3 months was paid to the lawyer for attending the village meetings. So $2,321 went to that. At a time when council members were attending the meetings at no charge, our lawyer seems to charge exceptional amount. So when we're over budget already, it seems like that could cut some more of the budget. So I propose that the attorney be present only as a needed basis instead of every time. So in addition, I'd recommend a cap on expenses for the attorney, just so we don't go over that $15,000. That's got to come from somewhere. Anybody have any questions about that or anything? Can you discuss about that?
No, nada.
They don't care.
Went through the way.
You know,
We do not speak out of turn.
I sit here, I listen to the comments from the crowd, and believe me, they're all taken into consideration. We've gone through this and gone through this and gone through this, and I'll be the first one to admit our legal fees are out of control, and we all know the reason why.
No, it's not just one reason.
It sounds like that's a lot of little reasons, and if we're already over budget before we even get started.
Our largest reason is his attendance at these board meetings for $160 per hour.
Believe me, this is all being looked at. But right now, we can't not have him here because of all the issues that are going on. We would love to not have him here.
He's
And
been
we are
in
addressing
many meetings and not said one single word.
Like I said, we've gone over this budget, we've cut out $25,000 out of the budget when we started.
Ooh-wee. Lots.
We're talking less than $2,000 he came to every meeting.
Wait, John, we can't hear
You
you.
got to speak into the microphone.
If we had one meeting a month that the attorney came, we're only talking approximately $2,000.
I'm gonna give John.
$2,000 a
He's the only
month?
one that's listening, you're the only one that's listening to us, because of FOIA. I don't know if you've ever seen all that.
Our numbers are
I
correct.
am probably responsible for some of these costs because that's necessary in order to write an ordinance. You can't just run a village without having some proper guidelines. There can be some legal, illegal.
Understood.
But
Please,
he's more than willing to write
This is not
anything.
open discussion time, this is citizen comments. I would like to explain one thing that I've heard over and over and over and over again as far as a democracy. We are not a democracy, we are a representative republic. We listen to all citizen comments, everybody is welcome to speak. The board is the one who right now is in charge of making decisions. That doesn't mean we don't listen to you. We We don't take your advice, and we've done many things over the course of the time that, the last year and a half I've been on the board from your recommendations.
Yes.
But when it comes right down to it, this is not a democracy. The people at these tables vote. The people in the audience do not. That is the way our government is.
Tell our veterans in Iraq and Afghanistan that we are not a democracy.
Look at your constitution. We are a republic. We are representing veterans. You elect us to represent you.
Are you all elected or somebody appointed?
Some of us are appointed, I know that.
So you're not
Also,
elected.
it's not your turn to talk.
Okay, that was not my 3 minutes.
I didn't, you weren't being held for that 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, to begin with,
Name and address, please.
oh, sorry, Taddy Hodge, 7567 32nd Street. I wanted to talk about the benefits that we are giving our employees. I'll address John because you seemed most interested last time it was brought up. There is no company in Michigan that pays full health insurance. None. I work for the biggest company in Michigan, and it does not pay all of your health insurance. 401ks are going out the window. Again, there's no company anywhere that allows you to not donate anything into that fund.
I'm sorry. I personally know of a company that does that. So, I mean,
Well-
you can stand there and say, no.
Okay, pardon me, I didn't research
You're not
every.
becoming each 3 minutes here, but
Okay.
I want Gail to respond to you because of a conversation Gail and I had. Gail, would you give some light to the research that you did
Talk
about our
into the,
officers
And talk into the microphone.
after the last meeting?
Bring that.
Do you
talk
know?
into the
Talk into the
microphone.
microphone, we can't hear you.
I did do some research online of police officers and their benefits. And some of it was in Michigan, some of it was outside of Michigan. But what I found was that the benefits that we have are not at all out of line. As a matter of fact, there are police officers who get a whole lot more in sick pay and things like that we don't even come close to.
Okay,
So I'm just saying that yes, our benefits are good. And they're not nearly as good as where they could go in other places in Michigan and get them from the first day that they're on.
they're outrageous is what they are for the work that they do. And if you only pay the police officers, if that's all that you're looking at, the DPW, the treasurer, the clerk, all of those people are going to have to get those same benefits or you're going to have mutiny. So if you want to pay them more, but don't throw away your benefits. It doesn't make them work any harder. Look at have you driven through the village lately? This is a DPW, 2 snowstorms, and they have ruined all the lawns in Richland, both times. Where's the supervision of these people? Can somebody comment? I haven't seen that person, whoever it is. Have you seen them supervising any of the people on the street?
I have,
You have?
yes.
Wow, hallelujah. Did he call you to tell you that where he would be? So you see him at work? Anyway, we have a DPW, and there are other issues with that, of course. And we all wonder, for instance, where the money comes from to pay these new bills. And obviously, it's a nice looking budget, but it doesn't mean anything at all when you take money out of your local streets and use that to pay fake or real employees. So it looks hidden, but it's not hidden. Where did the local,
I'm afraid to just say 3 minutes.
I beg to differ. And if you're looking over that budget for every little thing, tell me,
That's,
no, tell me, why do we have a liquor license?
your 3 minutes is up, please.
We pay more for a liquor
Please
license.
take your seat.
Yeah,
You've been more than fair as
I'll take my seat when you learn how to stop mumbling.
Yeah, they're making money on that.
Any other comments this evening?
They could sell it if they want. She's hot.
John Ross, 8622 East Avenue, Richland, Michigan, 49083. Who plowed Foxwood last Thursday?
We don't plow fast.
I know. When the county plows Foxwood, they plow Yale, Harvest, Bluebird, all of the other streets off of there. But our truck was seen going down that road. Just saying.
Supervision. Lack of work of the day.
And please do not speak out of turn. You have your time. Thank you.
Any other comments this evening? All right. Public hearing on proposed budget. Terry, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I hope everybody got a copy of the total budget for 16-17. Okay. I hope everybody got a copy of the budget. It's, I had some on the table back there, and all the council members got one.
You know, wait a minute, Terry. The comments in the audience can please cease. Please cease the comments in the audience. So we can all hear, please.
The thing we want to point out in our budget is the fact that the proposed millage again this year will be 9.5%. That must be stated as fact. It says in the article in the paper that it was raised to 9.5, but in the state of Michigan, everything goes back to zero for the purposes of the budget, and then you institute a new tax rate for that next year. So it'll be the same as it's been in years past at 9.5%. The first sheet here shows you what I have projected as revenues coming in for this village in what we projected for 15 and 16, and then what we project for 16 and 17 over the next year. Hopefully we can come up with an estimated revenue of at least $445,894. There's a breakdown then of the proposed expenditures under the revenue.
Terry, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm going off of the assessed value that I just received in the mail from the township last week.
Assessed value of property tax.
Property taxes.
Okay.
That was there a percentage figure given by the township of the average increased assessed value? Because I know we didn't factor this in, but yet my assessment went up approximately 1.5% to 2%. And I just wondered if that was township-wide, and you had a figure on that or not?
Generally, it depends on the neighborhood you live in and what the percent is going to be.
But the township did not give you a figure that
No.
the average village tax?
I don't generally get that until
assessment.
April. I get that generally in April. I'll have an idea, and that comes from the assessor sends it in, and then the county then sends it back out in the software. We get that is what the.
So that at that time, there was a percentage of increase in assessed values across the village?
Right, but I don't know until I get that software, and that's generally in May, late May, early June, is when I get that figure.
But that's for township taxes, correct?
If it's assessed value, you're going on mills, that would also affect the village.
It doesn't affect the village taxes, as I understand.
If it's 9.5 mills, or did you say 9.25 or 9.5?
9.5 mils.
If it's 9.5 mills, that would affect the village as well. On that sheet that you got, I agree with you, it only addressed township taxes. But on a millage basis, it would also affect village taxes. It's just that the township produced that document.
The property, each individual property value went up, not the tax, not the 9.5. Okay.
And Dave, to answer that question, I have coffee with one of the assessors homes every week, and apparently what they did, they changed some of the formulas they used, and everybody's went up about 1% too.
Yes.
Okay, Doug, I appreciate that comment, but please limit so Terry can continue.
Yes, last year there was a change in it, when we had a change of assessor. I don't know how it's gonna affect it this year, but we'll, like I say, we'll find those out probably in May sometime. Under the, what I project to be the revenue for the village for the year, like I say, $445,000. We then project what our spending is gonna be over the year. The first 2 pages covers this, the final 5 pages break it down on a line-by-line basis. But again, originally we're saying proposed expenditures of legislative of $200. The general government, we looked to probably spend about $148,771. Public safety, $268,616. Public services, $41,006. Debt service is $6,100. So it leaves a difference here of 510 above what we plan to spend. In that case, it can be read as a balanced budget, if you will. The major streets, the revenues are projected. You'll see at $36,300. 32,000 of that's from Act 51 revenue that we received from the state of Michigan. $1,000 of interest on the money we have in our accounts, and the de-added assessment of about $3,300 to bring the total income of $36,000. Our expenditures in that, we have the DPW lead, the loan on the major street, which is the avenue. We have a principal payment of about $4,400, loan interest of $2,000, and our maintenance, routine maintenance of about $7,800, and the winter maintenance about $6,598. Again, with the expenditure and what we figure coming in from the projected Act 51 revenue and interest and so on, a positive note of about $15,073. Local streets, we look at Act 51 revenue of $15,500 in interest. Our DPW lead, as far as for expenditures, of $3,300, about $5,076 in routine maintenance expense. Our winter expenses of $6,200. Total expenditures of $14,606. Having a difference of $894 in the black for the budget for 16-17 year. And the water improvement, that's just on, I guess, one of the streets. We have a fire hydrant, we have an assessment payment on, which takes care of our water improvement expenses. And we always have a positive in that. You'll notice that at the bottom, we have the general fund balances. These again are projections. First of all, you'll see February 28th of 2015 at our audit. That's what our cash balance funds were at that particular point in time. The activity since as of December 31st of 15, what we project to be at the end of the year and proposed shows that we have enough money in our accounts that we can continue to fund if there was any deficit in the budget, we'd have enough money to cover that deficit. And the same thing in the street fund, major street and local street funds. And like I say, in the next 5 pages are a breakdown of each individual line item in the budget. Is there any particular questions that I might be able to be of?
Okay, I have a question, because I know that a lot of these line items have been categorized for a long time. And we get audited every year, and then